In today's episode of the podcast, I'm going to be sharing with you the real reason why setting goals is actually very, very important. I am your host, Elle Edwards. I'm founder of the Faith and Business Playground. I'm here with training, coaching, and this podcast to help you embrace your inner weirdo, help you be Youier, so you can make Jesus CEO of your life and business. And all of this week, we've been thinking about Youier goal setting, but it's all in preparation. My real goal this week was to inspire you and go, yes, Elle, I'm ready to set some goals that I actually want to get done. And if that is you, if I have done my job correctly, you're going to want to make sure you join us next week for Reclaim Your Year Live. We're going to be doing it on the podcast, via email, and in the Facebook group. So if you're not already signed up, faithandbusinessplayground.com/reclaim, because yes, it's going to be on the podcast, but there's going to be goodies behind the scenes, and email is the easiest way to get that sent to you. So get signed up if you're not already. However, let me crack on with today's episode. I did end yesterday by saying that today I get to talk about one of my favorite ever topics. It is, drumroll, I don't know if you can hear that. I'm not sure how my microphone will pick that up. Hopefully it did. But it is the reticular activating system. And don't groan. I know if you're a long-time listener, you've heard me talk about this before, but it is very, very applicable. Now, the Bible verse I've picked for this is one I actually shared with you last week. It's Philippians 4, verse 8. Again, where it says, this is Paul says, finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. Now, if you listened to last week where we talked about Youier well-being, and we talked about how God wrote the book on personal development, your reticular activating system is a filter in your brain, and it works very much like the Facebook algorithm. The more that you interact with stuff, the more that your brain thinks something is important, the more you will see things that are similar. So Paul in Philippians, by telling us, focus on the lovely stuff, think lovely thoughts, to paraphrase him, you're actually training your brain to make it easier and easier for you to see those lovely things. God really did write the book on personal development. That's not just some neat little catchphrase that I like to say. It's true. He wrote those words thousands of years ago, and now, finally, brain science is catching up with it. We now know that as an adult, we used to think that our brains were rigid and fixed. That's not the case. By choosing where to focus, by choosing what to think about, you are laying down new pathways. Now then, how does this relate to goal setting? I shall tell you right now. What happens when you spend time reflecting on what's important to you? When you spend time going through the process that I'm going to take you through live next week, for example, you are thinking about those things. You are pondering on those things. You are possibly creating visual pictures of those things. That signals to your brain that that stuff is important. And that in turn means that your brain will start to see ways to make that stuff happen. That's effectively how the law of attraction works. The law of attraction, although the proponents of law of attraction talk to the universe instead of God, which makes me quite sad. I prefer to talk to the creator of the universe. But God, in his love and his graciousness and his wisdom, when people are using biblical principles to make this stuff happen, and because he loves everybody so much, it still works. Even though they're trying to take him out of the equation, he will never be taken out of the equation. Even when somebody is not talking to him, he's still listening. He's still there. But that's why that stuff works, because God wired your brain that way. He created you. You weren't like an accident, and you were knit together. And I find it incredible and just mind-blowing to imagine God all those years ago back in eternity past, and he created Adam and the way that he is wired. And I'm a vegan, as some of you know. I love animals. I think animals are wonderful, and I think we should be here to look after animals. But humans are different. And what makes us different is we are made in the image of God. And how the fact that our brains are wired differently is part of what it means to be human. But it's not an accident. God created that wiring. He made it that, by thinking on this stuff, you'd see more of the same. There's an experiment that I think I've mentioned before on the podcast where they showed a video clip and they said to these people, right, okay, for this experiment, we want you to count how many times the red team touched the ball. And at the end of the video, they said, oh, did you see that? What about the gorilla? And they're like, gorilla? What gorilla? There was a great big guy in a gorilla suit halfway through waving at the camera. They literally did not see the gorilla because they were focused on the red team. How many times did the red team touch the ball? And afterwards, you look back and go, oh my goodness, how did I not see that gorilla? It's because of your reticular activating system, the way that your brain filters stuff. So you literally, and I don't use that word lightly, but you literally change what you see as a result of what you think about. And so that really is why I want you to come through the process of setting those goals next week. Because you are, by getting that clarity, by working out like, what is important to me? Why is this important to me? What's the next step? How can I do this in a way that works with the season of life I'm in right now? All of that time we're going to spend thinking and talking. And that's part of the reason why next week is going to be as hands-on as I can possibly make it. I mean, yes, I can't reach through the screen and physically touch you. If you're listening to this and you live in my town, by all means, we can do this live. That'd be quite fun, wouldn't it? But for most people who listen along, they're not going to be able to do it literally, hand in hand. But I'm going to make this as using all of the senses as much as possible. Because all of that stuff signals to your brain that it is important, and your brain will start to filter in examples. I give the example of having finally got over myself and realized that, the story I had about scary Christians was a story, and I needed to get out there and start finding more lovely Christians. I did that, and within days, I've suddenly been surrounded by awesome Christians. And you're probably one, if you're listening to this and you're one of the people I've spoken to over the last few weeks, know that I'm talking about you. Every single person without exception that I've had a chance to interact with and chat with and get to know over the last 2 weeks, since making that conscious decision, right, this is important. These are the people I want to find and get to know more. It's like my brain filtered it in, and God created these divine appointments and a mixture of the two. This stuff is important. We don't want to sleepwalk through life. Life happens fast, and before you know it, here we are, look, it's May already. Let's stop being accidental about it. Let's get really clear on what's important. God helping us, of course. All of this is going to be grounded in doing this in a Bible-friendly, Jesus-friendly way, of course. That is my mission with all of this. It should go without saying, but I'm just saying it just in case. But this stuff is important, and there is something that you are called to do, and you're called to be you. You're called to show up full to the top with God's love. But whatever that looks like, whatever projects or goals or things that God's going to call you to create, that's not going to happen by accident. And so that's why next week we are going to work together to get really clear on that and on the next step as well. So that's why it's important, and that's why we're going to do it. And like I say, final reminder, if you're not signed up already, faithandbusinessplayground.com/reclaim. Really excited about it. I can't wait to share next week with you. It's going to be epic. And I don't use that word lightly, because I know epic gets bounded around the internet a lot, but it is going to be brilliant. If you follow along and actually do the process. If you just listen and don't do it, then it might help a little bit. But the real power is going to be coming from doing this in community, which is why God has planned it the way he has. And please know that as well. I mentioned that earlier in the week. This idea for next week came as I was in the early stages of waking up. It was like a divine download, right? This is what you're going to do. Dum, 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 dum. Like, oh, wow. And I had to just ran with it. So I'm really excited about it. And I think that's more than anything the reason why I want to share this with as many people as possible, because it has the potential to be really wonderful. And I can't wait to share it with you. Anyway, that's next week. Thank you for listening as ever. I shall catch up with you then. Take care. Bye-bye.